Hello YouTubers, Toby Till here with Rocky Mountain Snow MX. We are here to provide you with all of your snow bike related technical videos and also any parts or accessories you may need for your snow bike. Feel free to give us a call, 720-263-7533.
First things first, this is our 2026 Yeti 126 mountaintop track. Brand new out of the box. Great customer. Dave is having me build this awesome Works Edition, and the new Yeti all kind of color coded is where we're starting out at. We're going to run through the process. I've got my handy dandy Yeti manual up in front of us, starting the process of the install, and I'll kind of follow along with the manual. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do our measurement of the angles. Okay, I've got this cool angle finder that I use. You should be able to get a name off of that real easy. It's Intercomp. You can get them on Amazon. They're about $100 or so. They're a great little angle finder. So the first things that you want to do, measure the angle of the seat. I am 4.35 on the seat. And then of course the angle on the forks. And I am 62.85 on the forks. So record those. Make sure you know what your angles are. That way when you get to soft strut setup, you're ready for that. Once we have gone through angles, go ahead and tear down the bike, of course, do all that. We're well beyond that point. Now we're gonna go on to Yeti setup. Yeti recommends doing front ski first. I actually do it a little opposite. I do back in first, so that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna do back in first. Bike mount adapters. Here are your bike mount adapters. In the kit, we've got two bike mount adapters, a left to right. We got a spring and we got 4 bolts. Those bike mount adapters are as such. Like everything, blue Loctite as we go together, even though the bolts have blue Loctite. The left bike mount adapter is the thick one with the chain tensioner spring hole in it. The right bike mount adapter is the thin one. So I always start with the thick one, the triangle part outside. You put the shortest of the 2 bolts. So you see, we got 2 bolts, shortest of the 2 bolts in the back, longest of the 2 bolts in the front. Blue Loctite, short bolt in, blue Loctite, long bolt in. Same thing on the other side. Long bolt from inside to outside. The bike adapter kind of goes into the frame on this side. The other side, the bike adapter doesn't actually fit into the frame. It just flush mounts with the frame. $25 Nm is the torque readings. Never take my word for what I know in the top of my head. Always look at your manual for the torque specs exactly. I've been doing this a long time, and I have most everything in my head, but that's no guarantee that I'm right. But I really try to be. Okay, now that those are on, we're gonna figure out which bushing go which. This Honda kit comes with 3 different bushings. In the manual, it talks about how each bushing has a particular number. The numbers coincide with the numbers on the bushing. So, starting from the very left-hand side, that bushing starts with a 5. Yep, starts with a 5. So, you see my 5? So this bushing is a 5035. That bushing goes into the right. Sorry, 5035 goes into the very left-hand side of the chain. Then you have a 4195 in this kit. It goes in the inside of the left. And then of course, I've got a 6205, and that goes in the right-hand inside frame rail. Once you've done that, you now do not forget to put your chain tensioner on. If you forget to do this, and you try to put it on once the bike is on the kit, you will break it. Now, once that's on, slide it out just a little bit and down, put your spring in, seat the spring completely, push it up into place, make sure that your spring is seated in the top correctly. That did not feel seated, and it was not, so try that again, pop it into the bottom. Then you can take this, push it up and over, and that will go ahead and seat it up out of the way so you don't have to mess with anything. Once we do that, we are going to take and move the kit all the way forward so that installation will be super easy. We want to make sure and move these slide plates completely forward so that it engages easily with the bike when we get up to that point. We have a Yeti socket here in the box, like so. This is your Yeti socket. You loosen up the eccentric lock nut, make sure that's loose. Then we're going to loosen up all of the bolts in the chainstay area, 12 millimeter. We're going to loosen up these so the plates move freely. They don't have to be super loose, just loose enough for the plates to move. Now that they're all loose, I should be able to just easily move the chain tension plates in and out like you see. I'm going to move them all the way forward. That's going to help my install. I'm also going to just tighten down just by hand so it doesn't move without me wanting it to. Cut our zip tie on our brake line, get that out of the way. Once we've got that done, now we can move to the soft strut. Soft strut setup. Most soft struts will be in the shortest position. I've already taken these bushings, put it in the soft strut. So these are the bushings. Put them in the soft strut. Put them in the short position for most bikes that have leakage on them. A linkage bike is usually a shorter soft strut than a non-linkage bike. We're going to take this top bolt out, put our soft strut in. Be careful with this top bolt. It has a tendency to bind and gall in these bushings if you try to do any of this operation, any of these soft strut removals or any of that while it's under load. So anytime you want to remove this bolt that's on the bike, make sure that you have a neutral weight on the bike. So meaning a engine stand, a bike stand underneath the bike, and then relief of the pressure so that there's no pressure on the soft strut to this bolt when you try to remove it so you don't gall it. Once we have that in there, we put the bike into the kit, once we put the kit into the bike, we're going to see if the soft strut offsets in the frame. This is a Honda. I built a ton of Hondas. I know for a fact that it's going to be offset into the frame. And I know that this soft strut on a Honda is super short. Honda is about the shortest soft strut that there is. So I'm going to start out with this thing way far in so I don't have a lot of work to do once it gets into the kit. So I screw this guy all the way down in until we get to the stops. This is kind of binding a little bit. Usually you can screw it in pretty easy by hand, but I'm going to go ahead and take it all the way in. There we go. That way all I gotta do is open it up once I get it in the kit. Once again, I know the Hondas are very short, so I did that. Our bushing is a single bushing. It has a wide area on one side and nothing on the other. I know that Hondas are slightly offset, so on a Honda, I put it in this way from the right side of the bike in, so that it is offset to create a center line of the strut when it's in the bike. Try to follow along with the instructions. All right, so now that we're all set there, we're ready to go ahead and get the kit into the bike. And I guess I kind of did that differently. Anyways, this is how I do it. Yeti actually puts the soft strut in later. I don't. I like putting it in now. They also put the chain in later. I find that that is not an easy way to do it. I like putting the chain in right now. I feel that this is definitely a lot easier to do the chain when I can look down in the kit and guide the chain to where I want it to be around the jack shaft versus doing it later. As you're handling the chain, you also want to grease your swing arm shaft bolt, since you got gloves on and getting grease all over. So I kind of loop the chain like so, get it over the top of the jack shaft. Once that loop is behind the jack shaft, then I'll get my magnet, fish in from the bottom hole, grab the end of the chain with my magnet. You see why it's a lot easier to do this right here and now than it is with it connected to the bike. So this is why I always do the chain at this point of the install. It's even being able to see every bit of this chain, it's a little challenging to grab on the jack shaft. Imagine doing this with the bike anyway. Okay, now that I got my chain through and around, I feed it all the way around so that it comes out the front and hangs. I put the master link end of the chain right here on this upper crossbar. It's just a placement for me that I like to do it, because when I go to put the master link on, I like to make sure I have a little bit of something to press against if I need it. And that little rib is a nice little press point. What I'm doing now is just kind of turning this chain sideways to get it up on top of the jack shaft gear. And then I pull it tight and I'm right there at that rib on the plate that I like to be at. Okay, now I'm a little short, so I make it a little longer. Next one, perfect. Okay, so now my chain's ready to put a master link on. Master link comes here in the box. Put that a little bit of air in it up. While I'm prepping to do what I want to do, I always want to lube up both my swing arm bolt and my front axle. Not necessarily because they need lube, they're okay to dry fit, but we have all kinds of nastiness that goes on with snow and water and all that in these pieces throughout the years. So if you take some grease and get grease on your axle shaft and on your swing arm bolt, the likelihood of these things rusting in place is a lot less, and that's what we're after, right? We don't want any of these pieces to rust into anywhere and become permanent pieces of the bike when we need to remove it. So, some lube and grease on those. I stage everything. You know, of course, swing arm bolt has flats. I stage it on the correct side of the bike that the flats need to go on. Then I can get rid of these gloves because I don't work well in gloves. I grew up being a real mechanic that can put his hands in grease and deal with brake cleans. So gloves aren't my thing. I just use them so I don't have to go wash my hands real quick. With the chain on and ready to go, I just clean up the bench a little bit. That way, when I am handling both of these units, trying to mate them up and get them together, we have the ability to go ahead and move things around.
And not kick a bunch of stuff off the bench.
So, I use this cool guy alignment bar. I use the round end, put it in towards this section so that I'm going to have the swing arm bolt push back through. So I'll put it in this way. So I'll do this from the other side. Alright, so we'll kind of get this thing down and we can work on it a little bit. So it's not at such a high angle. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the soft strut kind of up, feed the kit in, and get everything to go together so that I can get my guide dowel in place. Roll the bike forward just a hair. Reach it over. Put this back on so I'm not losing it. Get the cap off the shop. Okay, so just pressure bushings in so that you know that they're in. I like to just kind of get the brake line back and out of the way. I'll feed that up through. And like I said, kick down, soft strut up, feed it into place. Okay, so now my guide rod is all the way through. Bike will sit there nicely. Okay, we're still riding it. Hard to do this all by myself, but we're getting it done. Once the guide rod's in place, I kind of hold the bike down a little bit at its normal angle, push in, and as I'm pushing, I want to make sure that I'm lined up with my flats. And I'll just kind of rock the bike and kit back and forth as I'm pushing. You never want to hit this hard. Just beating on bushings. See how that just slides right in? go ahead and put the nut and washer on the other side. Now, I am ready to install the upper shock bolt. Get this thing kind of freestanding. So much better. Just like in stock format, make sure that the pot is seated and flat. Alright, that took a while. Let's check, make sure we're still recording. Oh yeah, still going. Perfect. Okay, now we can go ahead and tighten up our upper shock mount, tighten up our swing arm bolt. Everything's in and out. ECU back into place. So, we got a strap here. Put it back in. My jumper leads in place. Sweetness. Okay, now we're going to move the kit all the way forward. The center tight. So what I'm trying to do is just move the kit forward. So that I can get the chain in place and have the chain as close forward as possible. To put it together and put the master link on. So when you roll it up in there, if for some reason you're running such small sprockets, you can cut it down. You can definitely cut down the chain one link and run it shorter if you can get the master link on. But most of the time, the chain is just right. You don't ever have to cut it down. I cut maybe one or two chains. Put a little lube for our O-rings. O-rings on. Master link going in from the back side. Hondas are almost short enough to cut a link out, but generally not. Not with the 1316. 1314, yeah, you can cut a link. So what I do is I put the top plate on, of course, the second set of rings, put the top plate on, squeeze on the front, squeeze on the middle, squeeze on the back, kind of back and forth. Get the master link good and seated. Put your lube on, grease that seals the O-rings, and put your O-rings on. Put your master link top plate on. do a lot of my work with these Nip-X pliers. They work so good for our master links, both squeezing them together and putting the actual master link on. I also have a set of master link pliers that I use that are specific for this job that I like real well. Always port the saddle of the master link going forward in the rotation of the chain. That's very important because the master link will come off if you saddle the dead horse. Squeeze the nut, so all the times I can get it squeezed together, and especially on these good quality DID chains, you can just kind of squeeze it and they'll hold. You can put your master link on like I'm doing. All right, so once you got your master link on and the clip on with the saddle on the front side of rotation. So as the chain is rotating, you want the saddle to be over the front. Remember, saddle a dead horse, meaning the back side of rotation. If you didn't know that you need to move the upper outside of the master link out towards the clip, and you've lost the master link clip before, that's why. So if you'll take just a flat blade screwdriver, insert it underneath the edge of the upper plate and pry against the back, and then also up against the other plate and pry against the front chain link, you will move that outer plate out towards the master link clip, and you will bind the master link clip to the post, and you'll never lose a master link. Super great advice there. Once you got that all done, then you can rotate the Yeti kit back into position and tighten the chain. Make sure that the chain tensioner is up and against that slot, not putting tension on the chain. Once it's tight, you can now go ahead and tighten up all 3 fasteners on each side, and the eccentric tension knife. Make sure and torque these all to spec. Torque wrenches here. You can look up all those specs in the Yeti manual. One advice is to make sure that when you loosen up the bottom bolts on the adjuster, there are T-nuts behind the very bottom bolt. Those T-nuts can push out of the slots and get caught sideways. So anytime you take these bottom bolts loose, make sure to put your finger behind the bolt and feel the T-nut, and make sure that the T-nut is going into the slot vertically. You don't want it sideways, you don't want it cocked off, because you'll actually ruin the adjustment slot by tensioning this bolt with the T-nut in the wrong place. So just pay attention to the T-nut. Make sure that you're not torquing it down within a 45-degree or 90-degree location. It needs to be vertical in the slot. All right, once you've got your chain all tightened, you're going to want to go ahead and secure your brake line properly at this time. I run the brake line across and then around the back of the soft strut, up over the frame and forward to the gas tank. Tuck it down underneath the gas tank, back up in front of the gas tank, through the handlebar risers and around the front, and then mount it to the handlebar. That's the routing that I do with the brake line. It always keeps it nice and tucked in. Doesn't let trees get it. You need to make sure that it completely stays away from the exhaust at all times. Zip tying it to the top of the adjustment slot here on the kit. Zip tying it possibly to the pillow block for the soft strut. And then of course zip tying it to the soft strut. So I take a lot of care that we don't melt these brake lines back here by the exhaust. Once you've got your brake line all in place and done, time to move to the front end. Got the forks in place. And what we're going to do on the front end is locate the bushings that came in that white box. You've got a bushing on the left and a bushing on the right. Per the instructions, you can see that each bushing has a 1 XXX or 2 XXX, and obviously the left side bushing is the 1 XXX, so 1 whatever. That's going to be your left side, and then your right side is going to be your 2. So you can see that my right side bushing is a 2050. So that's going to be my right side bushing because it starts with the 2. There we go. Now I'm back up and going. I don't know why my camera quit following me. So this is going to be my right side bushing. Then I also have my left side bushing. We're going to bring this over to the bike. We just put those bushings into the spindle. Hold our spindle up into place. Take our axle bolt, slide it through the left fork, and you should be able to do all this by hand. There should be no prying or hammering or any of that stuff on a new fork application. You know, older forks, they can pinch a little bit, but there really shouldn't be any kind of force needed to apply to put your axle bolt through, because what you want to do is make sure you be cautious not to make your forks pinch. So once I've got the axle bolt through, I just take the nut, put it on, and I draw it over to the caliper side, which of course is the left side of the bike. Once I draw it over to this side, that sandwiches the collar of the axle bolt to the bushings. And we'll draw the bushings into the spindle and the axle bolt and the forks, all just kind of letting them align correctly. Once I got that, your fork clamps will have a recessed area like so for a seal relief. These clamps should just slide straight down the fork beside the spindle without any resistance. I mean, not any major resistance. You're not hammering anything in place. Once you have that in, then you can easily put your outside fork clamps into place with the bolts. They will align with the cross dog bones, and then your bolts will screw right into those cross dog bones. If you need to move them up or down, you can. If you need to move the ski and spindle, rock it forward and backwards as you're putting these in to help find the holes, you can do that. Just light little movements, no hammering, no using power tools that could cross thread things. Just kind of take it easy, right? All this stuff fits perfectly. Once you got all of these in place and have the bolts started, you can then tension them down just a little bit. I'm not tightening them up at this point. The dog bone may spin as you run these down. So you just got to kind of hold that. Once I've got them snugged up, then I will take just a mallet and lightly tap on the dog bones, lightly tap on fork clamps, the inner fork clamps, seat them all the way down on the bottom of the fork as far as they'll go. Make sure that they're even. Then once I'm done with that, I can go ahead and torque these fork clamps to the specified torque. And you want to draw them down evenly so that there's the same gap on the front side and the back side of the fork clamp as you're tightening them down. Don't get them cockeyed and tighten them down unequally. Let's see, I think the Yeti spec for that, I still have it up. Yeah, 25 Newton meters, that's what I have my torque wrench set at. So now that I've got my fork clamps all set up, now it's time to tighten up the axle. So my axle nut was loose, so now I'm going to go ahead and tighten it up good so that I pull everything over into place. And now I will tension the right side axle clamp. Once I tighten that, I will loosen up the axle bolt again, let any tension off of the axle itself, tighten up the left fork clamp. And then one last time, I'll tighten up my axle bolt. This is a big bolt. You can put a lot of torque on it, but don't do that. It doesn't take a ton of torque. It's just holding it into place. So with all that said, now you've got front end, back end all done. You're ready to put your Yeti wheel kit on through here. So you'll put your Yeti axle through like so. The collar on next, and then the wheel on this side. This piece here is assembled with the conical washer first, then the O-ring to hold the washer and not let it fall off. Now you're all set. Pretty much in a nutshell, that is your full Yeti install. Once you're done with this point, it's time to set up the soft strut per the Yeti directions. You'll use your degrees from the seat and from the forks that you took earlier. I do set up a little bit different. Also at this time, I'm going to tension the track. I do Yeti setups for my customers, so if you bought your Yeti system from me, feel free to call me. I will help you with soft strut length, with bolt position, with fork height, with all that stuff. That's what you get when you buy your Yeti from me. If you're not one of my customers and you want help because your Yeti rides like crap, I charge $250 for the consultation services to help you and walk you through your Yeti setup. I'm happy to do that for you over the phone. I can get your Yeti set up like it should ride like a Yeti. So if you're struggling with setup and you didn't even buy your kit from me, that's cool. Give me a call anyways. You can spend a little money with me and I can definitely help you with your setup. That's definitely my secret sauce I've been working on for the last 10 years to really make these Yetis perform like they should. If there's anything else, feel free to order all of your parts from me, whether it's your C3 parts, Yeti parts, seat concepts, recluse, whatever makes a snow bike really work well, I sell. When you buy your stuff from me, you're supporting your dealer here in Colorado that stocks a lot of parts, can get things out to you quickly. And also, you know, I ride, I'm out there. I learn what works out there on the snow, and I help you guys buy the right thing the first time so that you're not wasting money by buying this and that and whatever and buying all the wrong parts. So use me as a resource. Spend your money with me to keep me in business. I love this sport. It's a true hobby and passion for me, and I love supporting the snow bike community. So thank you very much. Toby Till here with Rocky Mountain Snow MX.
Hello YouTubers, Toby Till here with Rocky Mountain Snow MX. We are here to provide you with all of your snow bike related technical videos and also any parts or accessories you may need for your snow bike. Feel free to give us a call, 720-263-7533.